Your brain is lying to you right now. You think you're thinking in words, that voice in your head narrating everything you do. But neuroscientists have discovered something shocking: expert-level thinking doesn't happen in language at all. It happens in pictures. Chess grandmasters, surgeons, physicists, architects, they all share one bizarre habit. They visualize instead of verbalize. And today, we're breaking down the 10 reasons why your brain's best thinking happens without a single word. Coming in at 10, processing speed. Your brain processes visual information approximately 60,000 times faster than text or spoken words. When you read the word car, your brain has to decode letters, access language centers, and construct meaning. But when you see or visualize a car, instant recognition. Neuroscientist Kendrick Kay published research showing that images activate the visual cortex in milliseconds, while language requires sequential processing through multiple brain regions. This is why experts in high-stakes fields, pilots, surgeons, radiologists, train obsessively with visual simulations rather than textbooks. A surgeon mentally visualizing an upcoming procedure can process a decade of anatomical knowledge in seconds. Words would take hours. Coming in at 9, the picture superiority effect. This is a documented phenomenon in cognitive psychology. People remember images roughly 5 times better than words. In one landmark study, researchers showed participants a list of words or pictures, then tested recall hours later. Word recall hovered around 70%. Picture recall hit 90%. Your brain encodes visual information with richer detail, color, spatial relationships, movement, context. Expert photographers don't memorize lighting ratios, they visualize how shadows fall. Musicians don't remember note names, they visualize finger positions on an instrument. The mental picture sticks. The words evaporate. Coming in at 8, spatial reasoning dominates expert fields. Architecture, engineering, mathematics, chess, and surgery all depend on manipulating objects in imagined 3-dimensional space. A chess grandmaster doesn't think pawn to e4. They visualize the board state, see the pieces moving, anticipate cascading consequences across the board. Brain imaging studies show that when experts play chess, their spatial processing networks light up, the same regions used for navigating physical environments. A structural engineer visualizing how a bridge will behave under stress, a mathematician mentally rotating a geometric proof, these aren't language-based activities. They're pure spatial visualization, a visual language the brain speaks fluently. Coming in at 7, language actually slows experts down. Research by psychologist Lars Hall found that when people try to verbalize their high-speed decision-making processes, their performance drops dramatically. Expert tennis players asked to narrate their swing technique hit fewer serves. Expert rock climbers asked to describe their approach took longer to solve climbing problems. The act of converting visual knowledge into words doesn't clarify, it disrupts. It forces the brain to divide resources between visualization and language. Top performers in every field share this insight: shut up and see it. Serena Williams doesn't narrate her serve. She visualizes it. Then she executes. Coming in at 6, visual thinking scales to infinite complexity. You can mentally visualize a simple object, a cube, a face, a tree. But you can also hold staggeringly complex scenes in your mind. Architects visualize entire buildings with hundreds of rooms and relationships. Biologists visualize protein folding across billions of atoms. A conductor visualizes an entire orchestral movement with dozens of instruments, each with independent lines, all interweaving. Language fundamentally breaks this down. Describing that orchestra in words would take a novel. But holding it as a visual mental image? Possible. The brain's visualization capacity scales upward in ways sequential language cannot match. Coming in at 5, emotional and intuitive knowledge lives in pictures. Expert intuition isn't mystical, it's accelerated pattern recognition. A master art authenticator glances at a painting and knows it's a forgery. A seasoned doctor walks into a patient's room and knows something is wrong before any tests confirm it. These judgments feel like gut instinct because they bypass conscious language centers entirely. The expert's brain has seen thousands of images of authentic works, thousands of presentations of rare diseases. They don't consciously recall these comparisons in words. Instead, they visualize the pattern, compare it to their mental library of visualizations, and reach a conclusion faster than they could explain it. Coming in at 4, visual thinking unlocks creativity in ways words cannot. When physicists and mathematicians describe their breakthroughs, they consistently report sudden visual insights, not linguistic epiphanies. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity didn't arrive as equations, it arrived as visual thought experiments, imagining riding a beam of light, visualizing gravity as curved space-time. The mathematician Andrew Wiles famously wept when a visual solution to Fermat's last theorem appeared in his mind after years of struggle. James Watson and Francis Crick discovered DNA structure by visualizing and manipulating molecular models, not by writing theories. Visual thinking taps into the brain's creative machinery directly, bypassing the linear, rule-bound nature of language. Coming in at 3, expert training is essentially learning to visualize better. When surgeons practice for thousands of hours, they are not memorizing words about anatomy. They're building increasingly detailed, accurate mental images. When pilots train in flight simulators, they're training their visual prediction systems to anticipate what they'll see. When radiologists study abnormal X-rays, they're imprinting visual templates into memory. Functional MRI studies confirm this. Expert brains show dramatically different activation patterns than novices when viewing images in their domain. An expert radiologist's visual processing regions light up intensely, and novices don't. The difference between competence and mastery is the difference between weak visualizations and crystalline ones. Coming in at 2, the inner monologue is often a performance, not real thinking. This might shock you, but your internal dialogue, that voice narrating your day, isn't how your brain actually thinks. It's an edited version for self-monitoring and social accountability. Your brain thinks in multimodal sensory and visual experiences, images, spatial relationships, emotional resonances, abstract shapes, movement. When you need to communicate those thoughts to others, you translate them clumsily into words. But that's translation, not thinking. Neuroscience shows that the brain's most complex operations, learning, intuition, creativity, spatial reasoning, happen in non-linguistic networks. The inner voice is like captions on a film. It tells you what's happening, but it's not the film itself. Coming in at 1, your brain is fundamentally a visual prediction machine, not a language processor. Here's the revelation: human brains evolved for survival in a visual, spatial world. We hunted prey, navigated terrain, read social cues from faces and bodies. Language is a recent invention, only 6,000 years old in written form. But visual processing and spatial reasoning? Millions of years old. Your brain is optimized for seeing, imagining, and simulating. Language is a slow, awkward layer we added on top. Expert cognition pares away language and taps directly into the brain's native mode. When a grandmaster plays chess, a surgeon operates, or an engineer solves a problem, they're accessing the ancient, powerful machinery beneath the surface. They're thinking the way the brain actually thinks. And that's where real genius lives. So the next time you catch yourself overthinking in words, remember, your best thinking might be waiting in the silence. If you want more science on how your brain actually works, hit subscribe. Drop a comment: do you think in pictures or words? Let's talk about it.